on our extra innings travel baseball tours, a common joke is that the guests ask, is this a food tour or is this a baseball tour? Because the reality is that I let food be my guiding light in my travel as much as baseball. So, of course, even though I was not a tour guide and I was mostly on my own in Houston and Miami these past couple of weeks, working the WBC, I took advantage to visit a lot of interesting food places that were recommended and whatnot. So I'm just going to share some of my favorites with you. So looking backwards from Miami, Miami is a great place for all kinds of Latin food. And so I definitely enjoyed some of those selections. There was a street fair at Calle Ocho where we could eat good cachapas and arepas and things like that. Of course, also in Calle Ocho, which is the little Havana area around the Marlins ballpark. Um, there's lots of good Cuban food. My favorite is El Rey de las Ricas. And there's a place called Sandwich, which is kind of a trendier Cuban sandwich place. I should mention El Rey de las Fritas is a Anthony Bourdain spot. So shout out to him, one of my heroes. Sable is another place that I heard about from the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast with him and David Sampson, the former Marlins president, talking about how they love Sable. I had a good whitefish sandwich there on a bagel that was excellent, but also I'd say the main thing with Sable is its amazing ambiance. Such a cool place. I really want to go back there in the evening time to have a drink and go to their record listening lounge area. Looks like a really cool nighttime spot. What else in Miami? So the I was able to eat in the PNC Club, a little perk of the job, and that is the super fancy, expensive place. So I know it's not for everyone, but I did want to share on the championship game not only just these WBC logo cookies, but more impressively this WBC ice structure that housed the caviar station. That was kind of ridiculous, but also awesome. Um, I really like this spot, Naughty Coffee in Miami. It's like pretty artisanal coffee, kind of a Tokyo or Japanese concept for those who are kind of coffee snobs like I am. Um, Last thing in Miami was Palace Dairy, which is kind of a cool spot by the ballpark. A really local spot for sure. So shout out to Palace for the milkshakes and smoothies and ice cream that they have there. The last meal I had in Miami was from this awesome little place by our hotel downtown called Manila Cantina. And it's like a Filipino grocery store with a buffet steam table. It's $18 for all you can eat. And then an extra, that includes water and coffee, and then extra $2 if you want to have coconut water. But that place was really cool. And if you come hungry, that's a ideal spot to go to. Going back to Houston, Houston, I was blown away as a food destination. We were lucky enough to have access to the fancy, um, all-inclusive seats there too. And like I said, the perk of the job, the Diamond Club, they have like porchetta and carving stations, house-made, um, gelato, and it's pretty awesome. So I know that's probably not accessible to everyone. So outside of the ballpark, tons of good stuff. Of course, there's barbecue. I went to the pit room, which I didn't necessarily love. The meat was a little dry, but it's a really cool spot. Big sports bar, outdoor area, and also the condiments and sides were insane. The condiment bar was incredible with all these pickled vegetables. I like Truth Barbecue better. Truth came recommended by multiple people, and it didn't um, that let them down at all. The meat was insane and good. And similarly, the sides were also excellent. I think that Texas, or at least Houston, they take pride in their sides and in their pickled condiments, especially. Um, another thing we ate in the ballpark, jumping back to Dyken Park, they served us deep fried Uncrustables. was like the most American thing ever and felt like a very Texas thing. So that's a fun little party chick if anyone wants to try that at Prime. Um, the coolest thing I thought about Houston food was the Asian fusion food. There's a lot of Vietnamese influence stuff. I went to Cafeteria, Southeast Asian inspired cafe, Les Baguette, which had amazing bone marrow and vermicelli bowls and smoked brisket spring rolls and all sorts of good stuff. So I really enjoyed that, as well as Agnes and Sherman, which is more like Chinese inspired diner food. That place was super nostalgic to me because I'm half Chinese, and it kind of just felt like a mix of Chinese and American in a way that resonated with me. The menu is super interesting and exciting, and I like just absolutely love their concept and their execution. And I haven't been that excited about a restaurant in a long time, to be honest. So definitely check out Agnes and Sherman. Um, on the Mexican side of things, I'm definitely not a fan of Tex-Mex. It's not interesting to me, and I think it's just kind of simplified Mexican food, to be honest. So they didn't have much. I did go to one place, not even worth mentioning, but I went to a Mexican place called El Hidal Hidalguense, and they specialize in the lamb barbacoa. That was a cool spot. Good food, not incredible, but unique. And I like the way they serve it with all the fixings. Another Mexican place is called Pasa Emma, which is a cool cafe. They serve Mexican pastries and Mexican inspired breakfast, brunch, and lunch food with really good coffee. I got an horchata latte, which was crazy good. So definitely recommend Casa Emma for like kind of elevated Mexican brunch food. The last spot I have for Houston is a bakery called Shakar. They have super interesting Middle Eastern inspired pastries with uh, old flavors and just well executed for any sort of pastry, let alone a really creative one like that. So, yeah, that's my WBC inspired food Rex. Um, I'm sorry for the background noise because I'm still at the airport as I go through this, but yeah, give this place a look. And if you want to get more information, just leave a comment or send us a DM.